What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Apparently, this video is live. Let's get some tunes. This is the live music that comes with StreamYard. Pretty rockin'. I'm the live StreamYard music. Welcome everyone. I'm checking out to see if this is working. Let me know if you can hear me or if the music's too loud. Yeah. Comments. What's up, Facebook user? Tell me who you are because I unfortunately cannot see because of StreamYard. Let's see. Okay, that's a lot. I'm kind of over that one. Let's see what else we got. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. I am your host, your hostess with the, no, not hostess with the mostest, host with the most, Seth the Infinity Monk, coming at you live from Woodland Hills, California. They are fairly wooded hills, more of a suburban vibe. Oh, what's up, Karen? Hi. So everyone that's watching, please say hi, give me a little text, tell me who you are. Facebook is not showing me all of the names through StreamYard, which is this program that I'm using to connect multiple Facebook pages and a YouTube account. So just say what's up, shoot me some love. Let's build up a little energy in here, and let me know if there's anything that you would love to hear about today. Is there anything that you personally are working on? Is there anything that you're struggling with? Is there anything that you want to know some things from me about, you want me to talk about? Hello, Susan from Mass. What's up, Susan? Hi, Maureen. Nice to see you. And for whatever reason, it's telling me your name. So some people it's showing up. I don't get it. Nice to have you all here. Thank you for joining Tuesday Night Live, Facebook's favorite live meditation class. We're going to, as usual, come to a very slow rolling start as people are still joining, and just as we're all tapping into the energy together. Hello, Mary Beth. Good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Trying to calm the mind. Busy and lots of thoughts. Yes. Ain't that always the truth? Well, there's a couple easy things I could give to calming the mind. Lots of thoughts. Generally speaking, our mind becomes agitated when we are emotionally agitated. That our thoughts are the products of feelings that we are not feeling. So if your mind is spinning, sometimes by getting into that feeling of what's underneath it, is it worry? Is it fear? Is it the unknown? What is the thing that's unsettling you, that's creating the disturbance in the mind? The thinking mind is it's trying to control, right? That the thoughts are painful, and the mind tries to control, tries to find a solution, tries to understand, tries to grab at. So if you start reflecting on your mind as just a controlling mechanism that is always trying to control, and even if you take away any judgment, for better or for worse, that obviously that can be helpful, and obviously that can also be unhelpful. As we get in touch with our feelings, the mind does start to naturally calm down. Also, many different ways to answer this question. Sometimes when our mind is busy, it means there's a lot on our plate. And sometimes by writing things down, by journaling, by making lists, also allows us to take the mental energy and move it onto a piece of paper to get it out of the head. Sometimes that helps calming the mind. And a third answer that I want to give to that is meditation itself. Meditation itself is kind of the way to how can I call this? A computer has hardware and software, right? So the software of a computer are the programs. The hardware of the computer is like the memory, the storage. It's like kind of the fabric of the thing. If you're running programs on your computer and those programs are out of control and those programs are draining the battery of your computer or misfiring in some way or having bugs, you can close that program and get rid of it. If you're ever having trouble closing a program and the software is just totally malfunctioning and your Windows is crashing or whatever, then you turn to the hardware and you just do a hard reset, right? You just press the power button and you turn off the computer by hand. You unplug it. So meditation is similar in that as we're starting to meditate, we notice the running of our programs. We notice the running of our software, of the different programs, different stories, different mechanisms. And, there's benefit to that, to see the stories. And sometimes through software, we can put an end to software, if that makes sense. That, if you notice that you're judging yourself, you could then think, well, doesn't the part of me that's not good enough also deserve love? Isn't somebody also lovable and worthy of love if they're not successful? Isn't someone also lovable and worthy of love if they're disappointing others, if they're not doing what they're supposed to? And you could bring in new software, new thoughts that can end the old ones and bring a sense of peace. But then there's also just that hard reset where you just unplug it or turn it off. And that's just the meditation that as you sit and meditate, your thoughts will be swirling and spinning. And you just, as this nun who lived in a cave for 12 years, Tenzin Palmo, said, we think we are the clouds, but we are the sky. That we can have all that swirling and kind of be like, none of that's actually me, mine, or my problem. And connect to the space and the quiet around that and behind that. And all that swirling eventually just kind of dies all by itself. The metaphor I often hear in the West is like you have a cup of water and you swirl that cup of water and the cup gets really dirty, right? And then you put it down and it settles and all the dust sinks to the bottom, right? So that when you just put it down, you don't have to take all the dirt out of the cup. You can just let it all settle and then clarity rises to the top. Same way, right, is that we can, and it's eventually going to have to deal with all of the programming of the mind and retrain ourselves and put healthier understandings in. But in the meantime, we can also find relief from that by just letting the entire mind settle and being like, hey, I'm not actually going to figure out anything. I'm not going to think about anything. There's nothing to do here. I can do later. I've been doing all day. I'm just going to let the whole thing just settle and relax and soften. And just by letting the thing alone, it'll all settle by itself. This requires trust, requires patience, requires an allowance, right? Almost like a devotion that we have to know that by doing nothing, it'll settle. We stirred up a cup with water and dirt, and you shook it up and you put it down and there was dirt everywhere. We know because we know the properties of physics. We know how things work on this earth. So we know that if we leave it, gravity will pull it and that settles. So we know for a fact, so we can, with confidence, set that cup down and know that it's going to just do its thing. With the mind, we don't know. We haven't yet made that experience. So we'll put it down, we'll let it settle, and then we still see it's dirty, and we're like, and then we'll pick it up again, and we'll be like, are you sure this is going to work? And then we put it down again, and then we kind of look at it, and like, I don't know. Maybe I need to pick up my phone or something. Or we get discouraged, still having thoughts, right? And then we take the cup, and right, and each time we're picking it up or stirring it up again, and then the thing never has that time and that chance to like settle. So there's something to be said about patience, about allowance, about trust, about giving things their time and their space. So that is one of the properties of meditation. I believe it's called sada. I'm kind of out of practice with my Pali and Sanskrit, but I believe it was sada, which is the trust, that when we just trust something, and it's not a blind faith necessarily. I think the Buddha said it's like if you go into a village and you're looking for an elephant. I think he said, like, if you're like an elephant hunter, which these days is not cool. So let's say like you're an elephant protector. You want to find the elephants to tag them to make sure that you're protecting them, right? I'm glad I helped you, Facebook user whose name I can't see, unfortunately. Anything you guys say, just add your name below it so I can see who it is. But I'm happy that helps. So imagine that you are an elephant protector and you are going to find the elephant to tag its ear to make sure that it's safe. And so you would go to a village and you'd ask them, where's the elephants? And they would point, it's that way. Right? Maureen, awesome. So then you're like, okay, cool. So now I have people that say it's that way. So I have like a little bit of trust, right? And then you'd start going that way. And then you'll suddenly see kind of like broken branches. And you're like, oh, wow. Like, okay, now I'm getting more evidence, right? So we start collecting evidence and we start building up this faith, this confidence, this trust. And then eventually we'll go and then we'll see footprints. We'll see the elephant footprints. And it's like, oh, now I'm like certain that there's an elephant here because I see the footprints. I haven't seen the elephant, but now like this evidence is compelling enough that I can say, cool, if there's elephant footprints, there's an elephant, right? And then finally we kind of get through the trail and we open up into the clearing and there's the elephant standing there. Aha, it worked, right? So the practice is the same way, right? Like that you'll start by having the monks or people like myself where I'm like the village, right? That I'm like, hey, it's that way, right? This is the way to peace. This is the way to freedom. This is the way to being with yourself. And at first you're like, all right, maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's just some guy telling it to me, but I believe that he's seen something. So let's check it out. So then you'll start practicing and then slowly you'll start being like, wow, like I do feel more peaceful. Like, like there is something shifting. And suddenly it's like you're gathering this evidence, like, wow, the branches are broken, right? And then eventually you get to that place where you'll click into a state where you feel just super peaceful and calm. And that's like the elephant footprint. You're like, oh, wow, it is this way. This is the way that I'm going to find this. Right. And then eventually you just keep going and you'll get to those places that you've been looking for. So this is like the path of trust and gaining evidence as you go that then gives you more trust. And it's like a positive feedback loop. Right. So this is in Buddhism, it's called sada, I believe, sadha, faith/confidence. Let's see what else we got. More Mary Beth. The first week of school, so dealing with a lot of stress. You coordinate all of the busing at your school. That sounds like that would be a stressful thing to coordinate busing for kids. Oh, Bhikshu and wise men, just as a goldsmith would test his gold by burning, cutting, and rubbing it, so must examine my words and accept them, not merely out of reverence for me. Oh, thank you, brother J. Kedrup Tasker. Brother Kedrup here is a venerable monk of the Tibetan tradition. I am honored that he would even give me a moment of his time and write something, share some of his dharma on this. A very dear friend of mine. He's a translator for Geshe Sonam. He is one of the few Westerners I have ever met that has just beautiful, fluent Tibetan and is really going for it. When he lived with us in the monastery, I'd always come in to say hi to him, and he was always sitting there doing mantras. Just amazing practitioner, this guy right here. If you want to follow somebody who knows what they're talking about, this guy who's commenting right here. Kedrup. Love you, brother. Judges and Jordan Bochi, Maki Panam Gikirchi, Kibe me Bob by Young, and the Gundu Fawashu, Tony Dada and Bochi, Maki Panam Gikirchi, keeping me Papa Young, and the Gundu Fawashu. May the precious mind of enlightenment that has not yet arisen arise. May that which has arisen not decrease, but increase more and more. Sadhu. Nice to be here with all of you. If anybody has anything that they would love for me to touch on this evening, to talk about, to share about, if not, we'll just get into the good stuff and we'll just meditate and we'll connect into the peace, into the spaciousness. One way that you can think about it is like it's a radio, right? And that we can turn the dial, we can turn to the frequency. So if right now I said, think about something that makes you angry, you're turning the frequency to anger. If I said, think about somebody that you love, right? You're turning the frequency to love, right? In Buddhism, we call that metta, loving kindness, turning it to love, right? And then if I said, now connect to peace, connect to the feeling of being safe, connect to the gratitude of this moment, connect to the feeling of the spaciousness around you, that now we're turning it into that quiet, that stillness. We become what we focus on. And what we focus on is one of the few freedoms that we do have. If we are prisoners of this body, prisoners of this society, prisoners of this life, prisoners of our jobs or our families, prisoners of our behaviors, if we have the most powerful minds in the world with the most amount of money in the world, creating whole systems of distractions and entertainments and things to algorithmically pull us out of our center, all that we actually have is the deciding force to decide where we're putting our attention. It was a loud car. Mary Beth said, as a topic, connecting with your guides. I don't think I will go deep into that one this evening. However, acknowledging that we are being supported by people in this realm, our friends, our families. There's a lot of people rooting for us, loving us, sending us their energy, thinking about us. And then also understanding that there's multiple dimensions existing, right? That even just our visible wavelength of light is like this. The Roy G. Biv spectrum is like this, but then there's infrared and ultraviolet and X-rays and if we just accept that there's so many frequencies all around us at all times, and we're just perceiving one little sliver of that, then it makes sense that there would be other beings and other kind of realities woven into this one at different bands of that wave spectrum. If you ever spend time hanging out with cats, you'll maybe see two cats that are sitting and they follow something across the room at lightning speed that could not move from there to there that quickly, but they're both looking at the exact same thing, moving in the exact same way. And there's nothing there that you can see. There's no bug, and there's definitely no bug that can go from there to there like that fast. But cats have conical shaped eyes, so their eyes pick up different frequencies. So cats, in my experience, can see things. And I won't call them ghosts or spirits or entities, but we'll just say that they can see things. They can see in different wavelengths. And just by watching cats, there's obviously things going on right here in front of our faces that we're just not seeing. So when we talk about guides, it's also just the understanding that there's other beings and other vibrations right around us that are watching us, that are wishing us well, that are connecting with us. And as we talked about the radio frequency, we can turn into the frequency of them and their love and their guidance, right? And that's a training that we can do. That's not a Buddhist principle as much as well, I guess it's like turning into the Buddha energy in a way, right? But that's more connected to like the energy work I do. So, but yeah, so it is all available. It is all here. It is all available, and it just depends on our focus and what we want to bring our focus to. So yeah, with that all being said, I feel like we're getting a stable core of people now that are on here that are listening. Again, I would invite you to just say what's up to me in the chat. Maybe just write where you're from, where you're tuning in from, locationally, just so we can get like a feel for who's in the group. By typing something, you're also kind of plugging your energy. You're anchoring yourself in a little bit more. It does also help this post boost or expand Facebook algorithms that other people could join too. It's a win-win. But yeah, after you've written where you're listening from, if you haven't already, I would love to guide us in a practice this evening. I would love to connect us into a practice. I never really know what I'm going to talk about before I talk about it. I don't have plans. I don't have note cards. I just feel you, feel me, feel the field, the energy field that we are creating together, and just see what wants to come up. There are also people that are going to be tuning into this in the future, people that are going to be watching this later tonight, tomorrow, the next day. Maybe even someone that finds out about Seth Monk in a year and they start going through Seth Monk's YouTubes and watching all these videos. The cool thing that I found about this work is that even though they're not going to be here for maybe even 10 years, maybe in 10 years, maybe after I'm dead in like 50 years, however long I'm going to live, what's that, 90? 60 years, 100, should be fine. Maybe someone's going to watch these videos in 60 years on an old computer. Remember when we used to have computers, they'll say, and they'll open up this old website called YouTube. And someone might see these videos. Even their energy, their consciousness will be connected into this. And there will be things that I will be speaking to specifically for them in the future. Because time and space, my friends, are relevant and they exist in this dimension, in this wavelength. But we're also connecting to wavelengths that are different than this one. That there is also a much bigger energy field that we are all a part of. Connecting to what we were saying about guides, actually, this is a thought that I had, is about the Buddha. The Buddha lived 2,500 years ago. 2,500 years ago. And if you think about the Buddha prayed for the benefit of all sentient beings. The Buddha prayed for all of us to be happy, right? May all beings be happy. The Buddha didn't say all beings that I've met. He said all beings. The Buddha didn't say all humans. He said all beings. The Buddha didn't say all people that are alive now. He said all beings. There's even a part where he says those born and those yet to be born. So the Buddha was praying for all of us. Okay? If you're more connected to the Christian faith, Jesus, one could say, probably had the same sorts of prayers. May all beings be happy, right? And even if it was humans, may all humans be happy. I don't know. I don't know what anybody said. I just have books. So these people, right, that made these prayers, if there's people that can watch my video in 10 years and 100 years and still connect energetically to this, and it can still affect them, and they're still a part of it, and there's things that I'm going to say in a very specific way in a specific moment just to affect them in the future because their energy is part of this. I believe that the vibrations, that the prayers of the Buddha, of the Christ, of the spiritual teachers of all the traditions throughout history, including those yet to be born in the future, their prayers, their practice is in this field, and it is accessible to us to tune in by radio. The Buddha's prayers, the Buddha praying for us to be happy, we can receive that now. We can right now in this moment receive the Buddha's well wishes, the Buddha's intentions, his wish for our happiness. Right now it is available. It is vibrating around us, and all we have to do is turn our radio to that station and receive it. In my community, we do different kinds of ceremonies, fire ceremonies, medicine ceremonies. And one thing we do is we pray often to our ancestors, right? We give thanks to our ancestors. This is also in Asian cultures. They pray to their ancestors, right? They have ancestral altars with the pictures of them, and they pray to them and light the incense, right? We pray to our ancestors. Thank you, even to, when we do ceremony here, thank you to those who have come before us. We say, like, to the Chumash indigenous people here, and the Tongva indigenous people of this area of California who are here, the indigenous people who held the space. And thank you to our ancestors, to my genetic line, right? To my parents, etc. One can only assume that in the future, there is going to be people praying to their ancestors too. And when they pray to their ancestors, they're praying to us. That we are the ancestors of the next generations to come. We can tune into and receive those prayers. We can receive that gratitude, that love, that support, that energy from those in the future who are praying to us. Those in the future who are working to resolve their trauma. We can receive that transformational energy inside of us now as well. That when we start getting deep into the spiritual work, present, past, future, right? That's 3-dimensional, right? But as we start to shift consciousnesses, we connect to other dimensions. And, if this sounds a little new agey, I apologize, but that is my experience. That we do connect into a space that goes beyond linear time. We do connect into a space that goes beyond this 3D realm, that there's other things going on. And science would support that, actually. As science is today, it would also support that. Spiritual traditions would support that also. So allowing ourselves to open up to the prayers of the spiritual teachers of the past, the present, the future. To those who came before us, to those who are coming afterwards, to those who are here now, who are just wishing for our happiness. There are plenty of people. There are monasteries filled with tens of thousands of monks who right now are praying, doing mantras, wishing to end all the suffering on this earth. There are people all over the planet actually wishing for peace, wishing for everybody to be healed and whole and complete and loved. So we can actually receive those vibrations. We are so supported, so richly supported at all times when we allow ourselves to open up to that and to receive the blessings of the teachers, of the masters, of the gurus, of the beings in other places. I would even assume beings in other planets, right? There has to be beings in other planets who are also wishing for the happiness of all beings in the universe, I assume. Probability says so, says there's a lot of them. So just connecting to the greater field of love, the greater field of healing, the greater field of enlightenment, the greater fields of well-wishing. We are not limited within the body. This is an illusion. And I don't mean that in a spiritual blah, blah sense. Literally, as you breathe in and out, you're exchanging your gases with the space around you. This, if I said, is this space in between my hands, is this Seth? You go, no, that's air. And I go, oh yeah? Now it's just become Seth. And then I'd point to this and I'd say, is this air? And you'd say, no. And I go, oh yeah? Suddenly what used to be Seth is now air, right? Seth and air are constantly interchanging. There is no Seth without air. We are the same thing. As I drink water, it was the rain. Am I rain? What is my saliva? That is rainwater. That is ocean water. It's the same water just moving through. It goes in my body. I drink it. I pee it out. It goes down, goes through a thing, hopefully gets cleaned, goes back out into the bigger body's water, gets again evaporated, right? My body is in cycle with the elements, with the air that I'm breathing, with the water I'm drinking, with the temperatures that I'm absorbing and radiating. Yeah. And with the earth, the food, the material food that I'm eating, that becomes a part of my body, this beautiful specimen you see before you, this handsome, strapping monk, is actually a bunch of digested food. This is all just food that has been eaten and is filling up this material form mixed with the genetics of my parents. That's it. This is all just stuff. And when this body dies, it again very clearly becomes the earth again, returns ashes to ashes. So this body, if you really get down to it, and even if you went to the microscopic level, you'd see particles bouncing off me and radio waves passing through me. It's just our perception, our limited perception, that sees this as a fixed, solid thing. But actually, this body even is just a constant flow. So we continuously identify with that which is not fixed. We call me that which is not me. We call solid that which is not solid. And that's an illusion. So that's a scientific understanding that matches a spiritual understanding. Is that this is all just flowing. That being said, we then are bigger than this body. That I can point to a rock, I can point to a puddle, I can point to the sky, and I can say, me, me, me. There's a Zen saying that you can see the universe in a grain of rice. Because if you look closely in that grain of rice, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, you see the sun and the earth and the rains, and the farmer who picked it, and the wife of the farmer who made him the sandwich that he took to work that day. This is when gender roles were strong back in Vietnam. And you see the truck driver who brought it here, and the graphic designers who made the website for the rice company. And if you just look deeply in that rice, eventually you'll see the whole universe, that even all the physical material on this earth came from an exploding star at some point. All of the matter that we see around us is from supernovas. It's from exploded stars. We're all stardust, right? So if you trace all these particles back, you get to the Big Bang, where everything was one, supposedly, the singularity, right? So everything is still just entangled. Everything is still connected. Things seem to be moving into a state of separation, into a state of diversification. I also heard it called novelty. That's one term that Terence McKenna used. He said that nature is always moving towards novelty, that it wants to get more complex and more novel and more differentiated. That's its movement, right? It was a singularity originally, and now it's moving towards novelty as much as possible. And there will eventually be an end to that, and it'll have to then come back to the singularity. And that is the infinite loop that we are in, of expanding, contracting of the universe. The universe expands, contracts. The breath fills up the lungs, contracts the lungs. The heart, boom, 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 boom. It is light. It is dark. It is summer. It is winter. I am happy. I am sad. I am awake. I am asleep. I am alive. I am dead. This is it. It's so simple. Opening, closing, arising, falling. Everything that we can experience is just moving in the same cycle of birth and death, creation and destruction. That's it. Continuously. No real beginning, no real end. Not even like a clear anything, differentiation, just movements that continue. That's it. So as your thoughts arise and your thoughts fall, and you have another thought, and then that thought disappears. And we're going to do this meditation, and this meditation is going to end. And you're on, and now you're going to be off Facebook, and you're here, and then you're going to go to bed tonight. Right? So just being aware of that movement, the ebbs and flows, expansions and contractions, the tides of life, of all things. It's actually a really beautiful, peaceful rhythm, like a conductor. Yeah. And just allowing ourselves almost that movement. It's kind of like a Tai Chi movement, right? Or it's almost like a baby getting rocked to sleep, or it's like the trees and the wind, right? It's just these back and forths, the oceans, the waves coming in and out, that we find things like that so soothing because they just remind us of this natural, infinite sway, flow of life. We are the babies, just getting carried gently forever through life. Mhm. It feels good. You could all sit at home and just do this with me. Just all hanging out. Wish I had like screens of everybody. We're all just kind of chilling. What's up, Tessa? Nice to see you. So with that, let's all just close our eyes. Start turning inwards. Let's do the thing. And I invite you just to let your body sway a little bit, right? So got this weird thing that we have watched a lot of people meditating. We see Buddha statues. We feel like everything has to be just still. And yeah, stillness comes eventually. And also just inviting in a little movement. So let's just kind of rock back and forth a bit, just swaying a little bit. This is actually really soothing for the nervous system. You go back and forth. You can go in gentle circles as you want, just getting into the body. This opens up some of the energy channels as well. And I invite everyone to just really close their eyes and go into this. We can chat and comment after. Getting in touch with your body, with your inner world. And you can do one of those, taking in a deep breath. And just letting out some sound. That's just energy leaving the body. Just emotions that are ready to go. We hold so much. We make ourselves sick. We hold so much. Just letting it go, releasing it. Jack Kornfield always said that the meditation centers are like the garbage dumps. So we're not going there to get anything. We're going there to release things. This is our chance to let things go, let stuff go. Yeah. What else can we let go? It's a great question. What else can I let go of? So, and as we're just getting softer, more relaxed, more comfortable, you can just get into whatever position feels good, sitting or laying down, just whatever feels good for you. You just keep your eyes closed and just get soft. Honestly, if you want a really easy, direct path to the deepest meditation states possible, I would suggest the practice of softening. Because as we soften, as we unwind, as we let go, just the denser and denser and denser layers drop away, and we just get to the softer and softer layers. Om Mani Padme Hum. It's like the jewel in the center of the lotus. As the sun hits the lotus begins to open and unfurl. The thicker protective petals branch outwards, revealing the more and more tender layers of the lotus until it opens up fully and just reaches that beautiful tender inside. The mind is like this, that it continuously unfurls its layers and levels of density becoming subtler and subtler and subtler until it just reaches that state of perfect openness, stillness, balance, and presence. The samadhi state. So allowing ourselves to relax, allowing ourselves to unfurl, to soften, to open. A little trick, a little hack, a little support and shortcut is to know that meditation is supposed to feel good. Meditation is supposed to feel good. Meditation has to feel good. Meditation only works when we feel good. It is the good feelings that anchor the meditation into the present moment, that anchor our concentration into a natural, sustained state, that only through the pleasure of the mind, only through peace, happiness, tranquility, relaxation, bliss, gratitude, enjoyment, love, only through these sukha, positive states, do we achieve sustained natural presence and awareness. The mind is drawn towards pleasure. If the present moment is painful, the mind will get lost in thoughts. The mind will run away into thinking, into sleepiness, into fantasies. When the mind is connected to its pleasure of the mind, not pleasures of the body, pleasures of the mind, the pleasure of relaxation, of peace, of tranquility, of stillness. When we connect to the peacefulness of the mind wants to just hang out there. It shows up there, it concentrates. Concentration. When a substance in science is concentrated, it means it's dense. It means there's a lot of it crammed into a small space. It's concentrated orange juice, concentrated acid, it's concentrated. When we meditate and we feel pleasure, the mind concentrates around that pleasure. It gathers, it becomes dense in that pleasure. That the awareness, the presence of the mind pulls itself together. Our normal state of being is scattered. The mind jumping between our senses. Things we see, things we hear, things we feel, tastes and smells, things we're thinking, emotions we're having. The mind is playing in all of these different realms. It has so many different arenas to play in, to explore and to distract and to get lost in. When we meditate, we close the eyes, we close the mouth, we close the body. We shut off all of these escapes. Like taming a wild animal. We say, hey, you actually can find freedom by accepting this moment. You can find freedom, find peace by surrendering. Not through always running. Running is beautiful when it's done intentionally, when we're running because we love to run. Running is an escape if we're running to not feel something, to not feel bored, to not feel pain, to not feel an existential emptiness and meaningless of the infinite blackness that is this moment, that is also caused depression. And we tap into the love, the connection, the peace, the warmth, the softness, the coziness of this moment. When we relax into that, it becomes so delicious. The mind just gets sucked into it like a hummingbird to sugar water. The mind just gets pulled in to this beautiful state of relaxation, like when you're on vacation lying at the beach. Our minds always race when we're in traffic trying to get somewhere, but when we get to the beach, when we've arrived, the mind just settles. We can just be there. Can we arrive now? Can you arrive in your meditation? Like when you pull up your car somewhere and you turn off the engine. You've arrived. Can we arrive right here? Can we arrive in this moment? Can we arrive in the feeling of the body breathing? Feel your breath flowing in and out of the nose. And connecting to that good feeling. I once talked to a monk who was guiding successfully many people in retreats, and he said, I don't teach people how to meditate, I teach people how to smile. He said, I don't even talk about the breath, I just talk about smiling. That if you just smile, if you just feel good, letting go of your judgments, your stories, your past, your baggage, if you can just allow yourself without any reason to be happy, to be grateful just because you're alive, just because you exist, to be smiling just because we're here meditating together, because you love yourself, because you love Seth Monk, because you love this community, because you love this practice. Whatever reason, and also with no reason whatsoever, just feel, allow yourself to feel the joy, the pleasure, the cozy, comfy, gentle, softening, relaxation. Again, just feeling the breathing. Feeling the air flowing in and out. Letting it feel peaceful and tranquil. Like when we're watching the waves of the ocean coming in and out, lapping at the shore. Feeling the breathing. You can even listen to the breathing. To the gentle rushing back and forth. Rocking you, swaying you, soothing you to peace, to relaxation. And seeing if you can release even the feeling of the body and just connect to the feeling of the space within us, the space surrounding us, the space in between every thought, the space around every feeling. Yeah. What if space was a thing too? We can feel the breath, we can feel the earth beneath us, we can feel the space. What does space feel like? When you project your mind into the space, what does it feel like? For the mind to swim out into space. For the mind to dissolve into space. Breathing the space deeply into the mind, into the body, merging, fusing, mixing, dissolving. And from this space, you You can even return back to the feeling of your breath flowing in and out through the nose, as if your nose were floating in space, as if your nostrils were floating in space, and you're only even aware of the existence of nostril because of the gentle rubbing of air as it flows in and out of the nose. Allow the mind to stop. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham sanam gacchami, dhammam sanam gacchami, sangham sanam gacchami. Triyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Triyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Triyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Triyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Triyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Triyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Iti piso bhagava araha sammasambodo vija charana sampano sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisarama sarati satta deva manusanam buddho bhagavati swakato bhagavata dhammo santitiko akaliko ehipasiko opanayiko Pachatam veditambo vinyuhiti Supatipano bhagavato savakasango Ujupatipano bhagavato savakasango Nayapatipano bhagavato savakasango Samichipatipano bhagavato savakasango Yaridam chatari purisa yugani atta purisa pugela Esa bhagavato savakasango Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjari karaniyo Anuttaram punya ketam lokasati Karaniyamata kusalena yantam santam padamapi sameche sakuju chisuju chisuvacho chasamudu anatimani santu sako chisubaroche hapakicho chisala ukavuti santendryo chinipakoche apagabo kulesu ananukiro Nachikuram samachare kinchiyena vinyu padeo pavadeo Sukino va kimino hontu Sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata yeke chipana bhutati Tasavata varana vasesa digava ye mahantava Majimara sakanu katula ditava yevedita yechidure vasanti avidure bhuta vasambhave siva sabe satta bhavantu sukhitata Naparo param nikubete natimanyete katachinam kanchi Vyaro sanapati gasanya nanyamanya sadu kamicheya Mata yata niyamputa mayusa ekaputa manuraki evam pisava bhutesu manasambhavaye aparimana Metan chisaba lokasmi manasambhavaye aparimanam udam haroche tiriyanche asambadam averam asapata Titan charani sinova sayanova yavata savigatamiro etam sati maditeya brahma metam vyara miremau Titanche anupagama silava dasanena sampano kame suvineya gira nahijatu gabaseya punyadeti Bhavjasa mangalam rakantu sabadeva dasabuddha sabadama sangasana bhavena sabaswati bhavantu te sadhu sadhu sadhu. Taking a deep breath. Gently stretching out the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Returning to this place, this space, this dimension. Utilizing deep breaths to bring yourself back. Connecting to the physical body as an anchor to bring yourself back. And when you're ready, after some nice stretches, you can come back completely. You can open your eyes. Moving slowly. And feel free to share anything you would like to in the comments. If you want to keep meditating, go for it. Just simply comment later. Sadhu Hui En. Thank you, Tessa. Thank you so much, Mira. Thank you for joining. Beautiful. Tessa had releases in her heart and abdomen. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much, Karen. So happy to see some of the love activators on here. Hey, Chris, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well. So with that, this session of Tuesday Night Live is coming to an end. I wish you all a lot of peace, a lot of comforting and gentleness and relaxation. May we be wise about which frequencies we tune our radios into. May we remember that all possible vibrations and frequencies and prayers are out there, and we get to decide what we focus on, what we connect to, what we feel, what we bring in. Thank you for joining me this evening and every week at this time. There's a lot of things one could be doing with this precious human life, especially when one has access to the internet. A whole lot people could be doing. So thank you for choosing, prioritizing, deciding, coming to this. I appreciate all of you and looking forward to continuing to show up to serve the community here in this virtual platform. If anybody feels inspired, I have little donation links for Venmo and PayPal. Some people were just giving $10. It's great. Just whatever you feel inspired to give. Help support your favorite monk. And also, I'm happy to be able to serve you from my heart, to have this little box in front of me, this little platform that I can freely express and freely guide. There is nobody here but us, and we get to make the rules. We get to lead with our hearts. We get to choose. We get to decide. We get to create the most beautiful thing possible for ourselves. Thank you. I love you. Stay in touch. And I will see you next Tuesday. Tuesday Night Live.